So we've got a rod either side of the harbour arm. Calm that side, a little bit rougher that way. Which catches the more fish? Well, coming up we're going to try and find out if there is indeed a difference between the rough side of the harbour arm and that shallow side. Cast one rod to the right hand side there, that's towards the west, and then on the other side a lot calmer on that side of the harbour. We'll see which side fishes better for us today. Also coming up, we'll be recognising a few bites on the tip of this new Rex tail rod. See how we got on fishing a couple of nights ago for a very strangely hooked strap conger. You also get a look at how tight I am, trying to save a little bit of bait elastic, and most of it done under this fantastic looking skyline. So the mark we're going to fish today is the harbour arm. This is actually an older picture of Google Earth. It's all been filled in now, and to be honest I haven't really caught very well from this venue in the past, but I wanted to see if there's a difference between fishing into the calm of the harbour, which has some benefits, and then fishing out to the right hand side there where the wind's pounding. So the first rod's going to go out. This is a really light continental rod, we'll talk about this in a bit. It's a really good 4 ounce rod. We're going to use a cascade swivels on this as well, so nice fresh lug onto those cascades, size 2 hooks. Pretty standard on the channel, this rig. So out goes the 4 ounce lead into the sun. These are blueies, fish that we have to import. They're really stinky, and they obviously really smell. That's the attraction of them. We're just going to add a little bit of that to our little cocktail here for the conger. Bit of squid as well to add a little bit more bulk. Even got some lugworm. Big 5/0 hook on there. I use these long shank hooks. I don't use pulley pennels for conger, just single hooks. It does them less damage, and then they've got less chance of biting that line off. The reason I'm putting on a bigger bait, although conger do tend to get caught during the night, there's always a little chance of a strap conger nowadays from the south coast. Wasn't always the case, and we had a couple the other night. This is one of them. Not very big, but I tell you what, from around these parts that's not a bad catch at all. And what this conger's done, I think it's just gobbled the bait and then twisted round and round, so it looks like it's almost hooked itself from the inside and then spat the hook out. But they're pretty hardy, and this one got sent back, and I had targeted them that night, so it was great to get a little conger actually. I'm sure those of you in the West Country, this doesn't look like much, but certainly for South Coast anglers, not bad at all, and there are bigger ones as well. So with the 3 hooks of lug out, we put in the bigger bait, just dropping it short of the wall. You always run the risk of putting a bait next to the wall that of course a conger can pull that into the rocks. Now I've never had a conger here, and I've got no reason to suspect I will, but so no need for a big cast here. I plonked it in. 2 sides of the harbour. Got a rod out to the right, that's the one with the whiting. Well, I assume that's a whiting tapping away on there, and then a big bait is on the one on the left. So you can see very different conditions. So obviously the wind's coming from that way, that will churn things up over there, and that's more ideal for something like a conger or a bass, but I'm playing it easy because it's going to be very hard keeping, especially this side of the rocks, it's going to be really hard to keep a conger out of those rocks. And it's going to be hard enough bringing these whiting in, I think. That's if they are whiting. Looks like they're tapping away. Let's see what we got. So you can really tell the little bites on the Rex tail rod. That's a Sonetic Rex tail. It's a 13-foot rod. It's really light, it's more like a bass rod, to be honest. And there we go, they were whiting. A little bit malign, the whiting, but they saved many a blank. The UK shore record's actually 4 pounds 8 ounces. Most of the fish we catch on this coastline though tend to be under a pound. Pin whiting are the small ones, under a year. And they're not really a good commercial catch, which is why we still see a lot of them about. So first blood to the right of the harbour. So a steady sort of retrieve here. It is sometimes, when you drag these whiting in, as you can tell we've got fish on here, as you drag them in, it's sometimes worth watching out for a grab from another predatory fish, like a bass or a conger. And I always check the whiting just to see if they've got any markings on them. A V-shaped marking is a conger. Bass tend to sort of gobble a lot. But yeah, sometimes when you retrieve them in like this, you do get a little hit from another fish. So I've got one rod out to the right. That's got the 3 lug. I'm tipping it with a bit of squid today. And then that rod over there is fishing into the harbour. Back on the east side now. Oh, I'd love that to just wrench over that. To be honest, historically this isn't the best spot around here. Oh, you see that? That's not a bad bite, is it? Whiting. It's got to be whiting. Never know though. You can see the difference. When I tilt the camera around, I don't know if you can hear that in all this wind. And the idea is that I'll smash up the seabed a bit, get the fish feeding. I don't think these whiting need much more encouragement here. It's a little bit blustery. I wanted to come out and give it a go today. Well, because we've had a little bit of a storm, it's pushed all the food in, I'm hoping. Don't use coasters on your big fixed spools. Should really be using the screw winch fittings on those. Bringing this bigger bait in sort of every half hour or so. You can see the whiting have maybe had a little nibble. They never seem to go for the bluey though. It's interesting, isn't it? I've certainly been having a little tug on the lug part of that cock. Very different techniques between these two rods. Should really be holding this, waiting for that little tug, small little tug of a conger. Also I've got braid on here, and braid's not ideal. If you look down on those rocks, just needs to rub against that a few times, even with this 60-pound braid, and it'll ping off. So risky fishing really. I'm actually on a patch of sand down there. The other thing to watch out for is to make sure you're not pulling it into the rocks. We're pretty close to the rocks, I think. Keep an eye on that. I'll go check the other side. So this is one side, this is the east, and then back into the sun. That's the other side. It'll take long for those whiting to start biting. Something as well you don't tend to do with most beach casters, and even some continental rods, and that's hold the rod, and you're certainly more inclined to just hang on to the rod, feel for the little bites. That's what I'm doing now. So what I'm feeling here is just little plucks. There's definitely something on there. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it. Just keep looking at it. We'll see what happens. It's literally like having a window, living on the sea and seeing that. So what's I've dropped my bait elastic down the side of the wall, and that's quite annoying really. So to try and get it back, the only thing I could think of is just to get as much on this spool as I can. That might save me about 5p. Never mind. There you go. Actually, thinking about it then, that's not a bad idea, is it? If you can almost decant some of the line onto the spools, maybe put them in, one in a different pocket, and then if you do lose something, you've got spare bait elastic. It's something I always lose anyway. You keep some with the bait and then some spare, some dry. There you go. So we've had that big bait over there on the left hand side, in and out 2 or 3 times over the last couple of hours, and we've had nothing. We've had little whiting nibbling on it maybe, but nothing bigger. Still pretty hard in daylight, but I've got to bet I think we might have a better chance if we move it to the other side there. You can hear the wind picking up already as we turn the camera, and the idea is that that's mixing everything up. Hopefully something bigger is after the whiting that we definitely are getting that side. Let's move it across. And what we're going to do now is swap it round, see if that makes a difference. There's so many possibilities. The tide's changed, bit of luck, distance out, so we're going to put the lug rod out onto that side now, swap it round, and then the conger bait's over that side. I think that's about enough whiting for one day. That was the answer. You could get them on both sides. Thanks very much for watching. So So have you been out fishing recently? You managed to brave the cold. Has anyone caught any cod? There's certainly not that many on our patch at the moment this far down south. And just a quick reminder, we do have an email subscriber list. Put your name on the list and I'll put some sort of bassy type emails with that. I won't bug you too much with it.